I'm impressed with the turnout here. I think we got a little bit more than 40 people out here, which is I think a little bit more than I thought was going to show up. Those people, however, expected something close to 4,000.
Right.
And they might have a couple hundred.
Right.
So I think they may have fallen just short of what they were expecting. So I want to tell you guys why I became an activist. When I first got on the internet, I got on the discussion.
Closer. Come closer to the mic.
I'm close to the mic, okay.
Yeah. Or just take it out.
Oh, I don't want to do that.
Squeaky.
All right, so let me just tell you why I became an atheist, or excuse me, an activist. When I first got on the internet, I was on one of these jobs where I have one of those things where you just get to spend all day on the internet and it's just like taking calls in a call center. You know, you don't have to change the screen or anything. So I just get to stay on the internet all day. Finding something to do while I'm doing my job, I find myself on Talk.Origins and other such discussion groups. So I'm arguing with theists and scientists, and it doesn't take very long in throwing out a question and seeing who's got the answers and who's full of shit. It's real easy to, real quick, to see who's got what going on. Now, one of the people that I got onto an argument with was this group of Reconstructionists who were bragging that they had their minister had gotten everybody in the congregation to vote as a block for particular politicians, because that minister had been on the phone with other ministers across the state to make sure that everybody vote as a block, and so that they could secure evangelicals in positions of school board members, dog catcher, judge, senators, House representatives, all of that.
Take away their tax-exempt status.
And so they're bragging to me, much like in a James Bond movie when they think it's too late, so they just go ahead and divulge the entire plan. They're explaining to me how they're going to take over this country so that we no longer have a representative democratic republic. Instead, they wanted to establish a government that would enforce Levitical law. So if you can imagine Sharia, go back and read Leviticus and realize how much worse that would be. Would you literally get a death sentence for working weekends? So I felt a little bit alarmed that these people wanted to do this. I started looking up their organization sources, R.J. Rushdoony, the Chalcedon Institute, things like that. And then I find out that all of these senators have actually come from this location. These people are bragging they've already positioned all these people. All the dominoes are in place. It's all going to happen. There's nothing I can do about it. And I had to do something. I didn't know what. So I just started at the grassroots level, and I'm arguing on the internet, arguing on Usenet back in the day, Talk.Origins. And then, of course, that I copied down the arguments that are having the same people all the time, enhancing, adding a little bit more information, until I finally turned it into a YouTube channel to get a little bit further in this. What has happened is they laid out what they called a 5-year plan, which was popular back at that time, and it was supposed to culminate in something like Kitzmiller versus Dover, which was in 2005. Exactly everything that they had predicted came true exactly the way they wanted it to, except that the conservative Republican Bush-appointed judge ruled in favor of science instead of in favor of the Discovery Institute.
Woo! Yeah.
That was the one thing they didn't expect. Otherwise, the goal was, and this was actually laid out in a leaked document called the Wedge document that was leaked out of the Discovery Institute, that was describing how they were going to do this plan of causing everyone to distrust science. So undermine science however you can. And when the students distrust science, that'll make them more susceptible to accepting magic and miracles as explanations of things. And then you can get them to be religious. All you have to do is pull the rug out from under them so that they don't understand the way things really are, so that they believe in magic, and so now they can have a Christian theocracy, which was what they always wanted. They told me that they didn't believe in, they believe in a religious freedom that accounts only for Christians, that Christians were the only ones that had religious freedom. All of us have the freedom to worship Jesus however we want to. That's what they think religious freedom is. But of course, what others have said is that homosexuals and atheists should be put behind cyclone fencing until we go extinct. But I don't know how they think we reproduce. Atheism reproduces by attenuation, which is not something that comes up in anybody's estimated birth rates. They tell you how fast the different religions are growing. They don't realize that atheism is growing faster, and it's not by birth rates, it's by attenuation. Because Muslims move to Europe, and then they stop being Muslim. Very often. Same thing with the United States. There's a lot of people walking away from their faith. There's people in Saudi Arabia that are walking away from their faith, even when they could face prison sentences for stating that they're an apostate. Even when it means that they could be lashed or killed. And they're still turning to this. Now, what we have here with Christian nationalism is people that want to undermine everything America stood for. The one thing that we had in this country was if you come from the caste system in India, that caste system doesn't exist here. It doesn't matter what your caste was there. You're equal with everyone else here. What can you do? Show us. It's a meritocracy, or the idea there was. And of course, it's not surprising when Donald Trump said that the American dream is dead, because he killed it.
Yep.
And so did his party. So he and his party, which have now become synonymous with the religious right. And remember, it was said when I was born in 1963, Barry Goldwater said that it was going to be a terrible damn thing when the religious right gets control of the Republican Party, and they're sure trying hard to do it. He was lamenting that that was going to happen, and now it's happened, and look at the shit we've got. These people don't want us to have rights. Have you noticed that every time religion has control over law, it's an automatic violation of human rights? Every time. When you look at the left versus the right, the religious versus the atheists, we are advocating for human rights. They're trying to take them away. With Donald Trump specifically, during his term, every provision of the First Amendment was under attack by legislation he was trying to pass. He wanted to declare America to be a Christian nation, despite the Establishment Clause in the First Amendment that says that Congress shall make no law even respecting an establishment of religion. Then he wanted to ban Muslims, which is in violation of the Prohibition Clause, to prohibit the free exercise thereof. They are all about prohibiting the free exercise of religion. They don't want religious plurality. They want dominance. They want to be better than everyone else. They think that might meets right. They think that because there are more of them than there are us, that means that somehow, simultaneously, that makes us a Christian country because there's more of them than us, and also somehow we are oppressing them. I had a believer tell me that it was an oppression of her religious Christianity when she is not allowed to oppress other people by forcing them to live under her rule. By allowing gay marriage, that somehow was an affront to her religion. Allowing other people to have rights is an affront to their religion. You all remember Ted Haggard? Right? So that the guy he's for family. He says that the people in his congregation have better sex than everybody else. He's against drugs. He's against homosexuality. He's all for family values and the sanctity of marriage, until he's discovered cheating on his wife with a male hooker just snorting cocaine off his ass. What a fantastic hypocrite. But before that came out, Ted Haggard was already on the news advocating for public policies in Colorado, his state, where he wanted to be allowed to discriminate. He said, as Christians, we reserve the right to treat certain people differently. Meaning that he wanted to discriminate against homosexuals on housing and employment. They don't want everyone to have equal rights. That's the whole game. They want privilege. They want to be better than everyone else. They want to have power over everyone else. They want to be able to oppress everyone else while simultaneously pretending as if they're persecuted. The fuck is it with these Christians imagining, you're oppressing me? Hauns, didn't somebody come up to you today and say, you guys, you Satanists, are oppressing us? The larger crowd over here because somebody yelled Satan in response to somebody else yelling Jesus at us? This is the disparity that we see. These people don't want us to have rights. They don't want us to have life. In my state, Texas, they're writing legislation to criminalize and victimize, to persecute our own people. If you have a gun, you can go out and kill somebody and get away with murder if you're underage in some states, as we've seen. But for some things you have to be 18, for some things you have to be 22. But if you want gender-affirming care, you got to be 26. Where the hell do you have to be 26 to do anything else? It's completely unfair, and they know that, and that's how they want it to be. Their absolute truth are absolute lies, and they know that. In the Kitzmiller versus Dover case, for example, they had a textbook called Pandas and People that was teaching creationism in public schools. It gave the definition of creationism and talked about the beliefs that creationists have. And then when there was a Supreme Court ruling in 1987 that you can no longer teach creationism in school, they did a macro command that changed that. So that now, instead of saying creationism, and this is the definition. It says intelligent design, and this is the definition. And they changed everywhere that said creationists, they changed it to design proponents, except one place where a misspelling tripped up the macro command, and it said see design proponentsists. Well, what that means is that intelligent design is not just creationism. They argue that it's not creationism. Yeah, by definition, it's got the same definition. You change the heading, but the definition is the same. Intelligent design is creationism, but the more important thing is it's a criminal conspiracy to get around the law. These people are not honest. Their movement is not honest. Their religion is not honest. It's based entirely on lies. When you make an assertion, a bald-faced assertion, declaring things to be true or the truth when you can't show the truth of it, we have a word for that. It's called lies.
Yes!
These people, everything they believe, everything that they want to force us to believe. That's why they say that Satan is the great liar. Remember that the serpent, who is not Satan, they don't understand that. The Bible doesn't even allow that the serpent of the garden could have been Satan, but it doesn't matter. The serpent of the garden is the only one that told the truth. God lied in that book. And, yeah. So, I have a problem with living in a government system where my state is targeting its own citizenry, where they are writing rules to lie to the children and offer them no other support. Somebody offered a moment ago, they said that in Idaho they're trying to establish a death sentence for somebody that performs an abortion. And these are the people who want this because they're pro-life. There's a certain irony in that, I think. And then when the child is born, well, then they're fucked, because the religious right only cares about the unborn. Once they're born, then they have all welfare programs, all unwed mother programs, all benefit programs of any kind, even public education. They're all under threat. The only thing they want to do with the kids is lie to them, to control how they believe, to control how they vote.
And they put them in the military.
Put them in the military.
And put them in the military. Make them minions. Make them to give you all their money away, to make them give away all their efforts, to carry your labors, to give the clergy an easy job, where the clergy has wealth and political power and all the children they can fuck. That's what religion has become in this country. It's an enormous hypocrisy, and we, the Satanists, are definitely the good guys in this fucking story. I don't want to ramble anymore because that's all I've got, so I'm just going to step back. Thank you, everyone.